Hello, my name is Arthur, and in the last video I started getting the scripts from the tank experiments onto this new Jeep experiment with the rigid body vehicles. So we'll just carry on with that, and this is all kind of a little bit repeaty. So I've put the flag into the group flag, and now we just need to make it so that it's functions like the flag in the previous example. So we'll just change its type to static body. We'll add in an area. We'll add in some collision shapes for that. And we'll add in a mesh instance. So let's do the collision shapes here. This collision shape for the static body goes up on the cloth flag, and that so that it can be selected. So let's make that the same as it was. It was a box shape. And we'll just pull that up here and push it in and pull it in and push it down. And let's get to a view where we can see that better. Something like that. And then from a top view, let's see, where does that go? Okay. And we had to rotate it a little bit also. Well, that should work. For the collision area, we had a cylinder shape. And that's just so when the vehicle drives into it, it can send a signal and disappear. So we'll just set that up something like this. And that should work. So the area needs to send a signal. Let's look at the script here. On flag body entered. Alright. So that's a body entered. We'll connect that. And we'll just change the method name here. To flag, and with a capital F. On flag body entered. So that'll get that working, and then the mesh instance was for its select, so it looks like it's selected. So we used sphere shape is hemisphere, radius. Actually, we didn't use a sphere for this one. We used a cylinder. Yeah, we used a cylinder for that. Let's try it at about 0.5 and see what that looks like. That's alright. Just line that up with the floor. Let's make the top radius 0.1 and the bottom radius 0.25. See what that looks like. So that could be a little bit small. Let's try 0.75 for the height. Enough so we can see it. Then we gave it a material, spatial, flags, transparent on, albedo. We have a selected color already available. We'll bring down its transparency and give it some emission. So that'll work. And that needs to be named selected. So let's see, let's change this down a bit, 0.05. That looks a little better. So we'll just name this selected. And with these parts in place, we should be able to just uncomment all of the flag related stuff. So that would be here. That one is for last position, so it doesn't matter. Update HUD. This is for selecting them. Control K. And in the map, we have these ones. And this one commented over. And that will just get those all working. We should be working fully now. Except for the menu, we don't have the menu buttons to cancel the path and to return to the last location. So we can deselect, we can select them, and let's see what's going on there. Oh, I deselected. A little hard to select those. It's a little harder to select them with them moving than it was. And we can delete them. As long as it's not the next destination, the deletion should hold. So everything looks to be working here. I think the last issue is the reality of the rigid body vehicle. Right now on a flat ground like this, it doesn't show, but we have a gravity number in a situation that could be a little questionable, and the vehicle wouldn't be able to stay this simple. Part of a strategy game like this would be having the ability to get some elevation, and I'm not really sure that the rigid body is going to work out, because there's certain complications with Godot and 3D for rigid bodies. In the next video, we'll look at how to prevent flying Jeeps, because right now, if the vehicle is facing upwards, it's going to start flying, because there's nothing to stop it from having velocity when it's not on the ground. So these can turn into flying Jeeps. So that's an issue. I'm thinking something along the lines of maybe ray casts on their tires. So maybe a ray cast on the front tires, well, a ray cast on each of the front tires to give it a downward velocity if the front tires are not in contact with the ground, and ray casts on the back tires to stop it from having any linear velocity if it's not in contact with the ground. And maybe the downward velocity as well. So something along those lines. A vehicle can't drive and turn when it's in the air, so that needs to be addressed. There is the obvious solution of changing the gravity scale, but what happens when we change the gravity scale is we run into the 3D collisions. For rigid bodies, that's going to turn the camera action pretty jerky, so we can see that there's little stutters and jerks to go along with the increased gravity, which is probably why gravity is so slow in Godot in the first place, is it relates to collisions and, well, just to say it bluntly, that the collisions in Godot in 3D in particular are not quite up to snuff for making 3D efforts like this. So, yeah, there's an issue with flying Jeeps that needs to be addressed, and it needs to be considered if rigid bodies are actually going to work, or if kinematic bodies and aligned to the floor types of ideas are just better for vehicles in Godot at this time. So that's kind of one of the problems when we go into using Godot physics to create the visual for the vehicle going over hills and stuff, rather than using the kinematic body and actually having to control all of those things more manually. I'm not sure that the rigid body is up to being a vehicle of this type at this point in Godot's development. Maybe at Godot 4 we'll see some significant improvements to that, but for now it is what it is. It's an experiment, so we'll experiment with the ray casts and get some types of hills in here that sort of challenge its abilities on unlevel ground. And then the next thing also on the table is to get the cameras functioning more fully. So that would be bringing in the camera script and getting the map script working. So we already have the functionality to go into a camera mode to look around with the camera, and yeah, we can look at how to get that working and whether or not how that can work together with selecting destinations, and see if there's a way to make it so we can look around with the camera and the mouse but still be able to select things. So maybe an edge of viewport kind of idea to move the camera rather than total mouse capture. So that's what I'll be looking at, and we'll just have a good look at whether the rigid body is fit to be a vehicle, or if this will actually need to go back to being a kinematic body, which is not really a big issue if that's what needs to be done. It's not that difficult to change it from a rigid body back into a kinematic body because the script's already written for that. So anyways, that's it for this video. I hope it was helpful, and until the next video, take care.